And it's on air, so welcome to another special episode of the Clever X Factor. I'm Paul Lange, coming to you live today from the Netherlands. A bit of a change of scenery for me, and I'm joined by an amazing lady. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard about Marsha Wright. If you don't know about this lady, you really need to go and check out her website. I'll give you those details later on. This is like the Richard Branson in female form, if you ask me. Marsha, how are you going? You're joining us from sunny Spain today, I believe.
I'm doing great. I am joining you from sunny Spain. Thanks very much for having me, Paul. It's a pleasure.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us. So tell us, Marsha, just to give people watching this, wherever they are, whenever they're watching, to give them an idea of who Marsha Wright is. Where did you start? How did you arrive where you are today? Because I've been very impressed to follow your story and follow your journey. Can you give people a sense of how you became how you arrived where you are today, how you became where you are?
Sure. Thanks very much for the question, and I'll try to keep it brief. Best way to say is I am a grassroots entrepreneur. I started my first business when I was 13, actually 7, if you count when we were selling sweets and stuff on the playground at the beginning of school. That was back in the day when you couldn't buy sweets at school. It was like, chocolate flavored custard was about as exciting as things got. But moving into my teens, I had a few of my own small businesses and really learned very early on that I was an entrepreneur and I wanted to do something very, very special with my life, and continue to really build and through a series of circumstances. Starting off with a very, very difficult situation in that I had a lot of I was in children's homes, like group homes and things like that. So I didn't have the pieces of the puzzle that would make a great success story, at least at that time. It didn't look that way. But as time went on, I continued to develop. I started a business at 17 that was way beyond my years, and really continue to develop and build businesses. So at heart, I'm an entrepreneur. I've built successful businesses. I've sold businesses in my portfolio. My portfolio of businesses now includes an acquisitions investment firm, media company. We have a social media company as well, which we've invested in. Our companies have included everything from conference centers right through to media businesses with different projects all over the world. We've even included having a call center in South Africa. I've just had a whole range of different businesses that I've been involved in, and just really sharpened my acumen to a point now where, for me, one of the things that I find the very most rewarding is actually being able to share my insights with peers. And I spend a lot of my time with what I call strategic alliance partners, people who share a desire for success and for to really make the world a different place, an amazing place to continue to build upon the successes that other people have done before us. And really just built a great network around the world and do pretty exciting work. I've been known to be on television, newspapers, magazines, etc., 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 and known on television as a business expert, etc. So done quite a lot of stuff.
You certainly have, and you're very modest and very humble. It's one of the things that's most endearing about you, apart from your incredible experience. For those who don't know Marsha, like I said, we'll give you the details at the bottom of the page where you're watching this, but marshawright.co.uk is a great resource to look at. You'll see that Marsha is indeed a television expert. She's a #1 internationally best-selling author. I believe you're a syndicated columnist. There aren't too many. There aren't too many things you haven't done, and I think one of the greatest things I find about you is that you do walk your talk. There are so many people out there who aspire to have a profile like you, but they don't walk your talk. And what I mean by that is,
it drives me bananas.
Yes, sorry, say it again.
It drives me bananas because I usually have the people who approach us who want to really make massive difference, who want a quantum leap. They're usually coming to us after having had 3 or 4 not walk your talk gurus kind of fiddling around with them, their business, their head, and then they kind of come and go, I want to do this, and then you have to kind of deprogram all of that and go, it's all there, we just need to focus it in the right direction, to get the trajectory right. Yeah, it drives me bananas.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. So, and this is the thing, you work with a lot of people. Obviously you can pick and choose who you work with, which speaks for you. You work with a lot of people, and I believe that, I know from the way you work a lot with, you mentioned as well, you work a lot with strategic alliances, and that you see that as a fundamental way of growing business. So maybe you can give people watching this an idea of how they can utilize strategic alliances, maybe from your experiences or from the experiences of your clients, as far as you can tell us, how they can use strategic alliances to grow their businesses.
I think the first thing that we have to consider is what the heck is a strategic alliance. For some people, they may have some understanding of what it is or how it can be used, and then others kind of think they sort of know what it is. So it's really important just to make sure we're all on the same page. A strategic alliance is unlike the approach that folks have towards just a joint venture, or just a let's do this and we'll make some money together, or let's just put 1 and 1 equaling 2 together. What a strategic alliance is and how it should be formed, and how strategic alliances should be formed, and this was the topic of the book that I've just that I released, and that became an international bestseller. In fact, from the time I started writing the book to the time that it was released and became a #1 internationally best-selling book was 36 days. That was all with the whole element of strategic alliances. So I wanted to give an example, a tangible example, that you can actually have something that goes from idea to extreme profit, but also to success that actually magnifies your business in a very short space of time. Now, what a strategic alliance is, or how it should be approached, using what I call the secret collaborative economy, is that you want to be able to say, these are the set of results that I want. If you've read the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, which I think is a phenomenal book, excellent book for anybody who wants to really catapult their business, one of the things that Jim references in there is the concept that in order to really grow your business, you need to come up with the ideas of where you want to be, and then you get the team in place to help you get there. What we typically do as humans, we have a very linear, it's the left side of our brain, has a very linear approach to how we accomplish particular tasks. So our brain says, I want to do this, so it has to fill in all these little perfect, steps that will help us to get there. The issue that happens where you have a conflict, and it's usually where you feel there is a spirit of indecision, or there is an indecision internally, is where you've got this right side of your brain trying to be creative with how you accomplish that particular goal. So strategic alliances, think of it as the right side of your brain telling you the left side of your brain, I know we want to get there, I'm going to give you that. But the right side of your brain, the tool of strategic alliances, is saying, let me help you figure out how to get there a lot easier than you're trying to figure it out with the knowledge that you have. What I call the axis of intelligence is that people often say, this is what I want to accomplish. If you can imagine on your table, if you're watching this, grab a pen and draw a triangle. At the top of the triangle, draw a little circle. That is the axis of your intelligence. That's the axis of everything that you could possibly want within your knowledge, within your sphere. That comes down to tenets such as your wealth, your spirituality, your business acumen. Every element, all of it sits on an axis of intelligence. The issue is your left side of your brain only knows what it has. You only know what you've learned before. You only know what you've used before. You only know the pain and the pleasure of what has happened previously or that you've been connected to. So as a result, our axis of intelligence cannot allow us to push forward to accomplish everything we want with our limited mind. And that's the reason why we need to have people, processes, support, and door openers. And so strategic alliances, in the context of what I've been on television and newspapers and in magazines, etc., as an expert in the topic, the thing that I most speak about is look at the goals, no matter what they are. Our company wants to do this. That's a goal. Our company wants to do that. That's a goal. We want to be most well known in this niche, in this country. That's fine. everything you want to accomplish is behind a person or persons or a company or companies. So now you're no longer looking at, this is all these things I have to do in order to reach my goal. Now you're looking at, who are the persons or bodies or organizations who actually have the leeway to get into that goal. And so you use the strategies that I went through, and I wanted to do something, Paul, where I could put down exactly what it is that we have within our own Strategic Alliances department, which is actually how we met you, and how all of that really culminates into creating an amazing picture that allows your company to exceed its own goals because of the relationships that you create. So it goes much deeper than marketing, much deeper than just networking and all these little cool buzzwords. We want to pivot our business, and so we're going to need connections with this, that, and the other. It goes way beyond that. There are ways to do it, and if you do it the right ways and you implement the strategies, which I laid out in the book, but if you implement these basic strategies, you can build on those tenets, and you can actually now build something that allows you to get to those goals that you want to get to. So that's a strategic alliance to start with. That's a really good way to kind of get us on the same page.
Awesome. So in terms of deciding who people should have in their strategic alliance, it's really the first step is not to think about the who or even the what. It's more of a internal self-looking thing, and then you go out and you look at who look at who resonates with what you want to do. Is that sort of in a really simplistic way?
Okay, yeah, let's take that. That's a really simplistic way. The cool thing about this is it's actually not complicated to accomplish what you want to accomplish. If you have the right people who have the answers of how to solve the problems that you currently face, that smooths it out, right? So if we can imagine the things that we want to accomplish, or the steps, as a series of problems for which we need a specific answer that we either know or we do not know. So the best approach that I have found is what can I do that adds value to others? What can my companies do that add value to others? What can my connections do that add value to this particular connection? That approach is just thinking about every single thing that you know, every connection you have, every opportunity that you have, assets and IP that you haven't utilized for a long time, that you no longer, you've mothballed it, it's not really important to you, connections and knowledge that your team members have, all of these things, these are all asset points. They are all assets. And so when you consider each element as an asset, now going into any situation where you want to accomplish X, Y, Z, you have something to offer. You're not turning around and just saying to every consultant, here's a check, or going into a supplier and say, here's a check. Your approach is completely different now, because you have a range of asset points, and your job is to find out what the opposing side or the other side really requires. And if you decide or you realize that that through conversation, yes, I can actually provide that need, then actually asking for a reciprocation is child's play. And one would think this sounds very simplistic, but everybody has done this in some way or another. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. Think about the sales that have come from a word of mouth recommendation. Been easy, right? So why on earth is it that we have this approach that we can't duplicate what was easy? And that's what using strategic alliances is. It's about actually being able to duplicate what was a happy win, an easy win. Your lead sources, these 5 of your lead sources are very easy for you to get sales in. So instead of throwing more advertising budget at them, which is what the logical brain says to do, why not look for distribution channels, or what I call congregation points, people who are the heads of those environments, and build relationships with them, add value to them. They'll gladly give you access to their channels, you now generate significantly more leads. Your cost for acquisition is lower. You now have an ability to serve your clients at a higher standard because you can put more of that investment towards building your people, developing your people, and really having the right kind of culture within your business. There's a lot that can be done if you have the approach of strategic alliances, and you can do anything from build a political career, you can build a career as an executive in a company. Using these same strategies, you can grow your sales, marketing, the whole gamut. It runs the whole gamut. There's nowhere that you can't use these strategies.
Yeah, listen, I'm a firm believer in adding value to people. It's one of the first questions I usually ask people who, all these mega connectors who just want to connect with you and create a connection, also any meaningful level of connectedness, and I want to explore that. Having said that, the people I want to have in my circles are the people who not only want to add value to me, but also have the foundation and are grounded enough to ask me for help as well. In the sense of obviously I expect, although I don't expect, I will always go and try and add value to people. I know that it's going to come back to me anyway, right? However, well, not even however, and when I do, when someone else adds value to me, I'm going to add value back to them.
Right.
I want people to feel comfortable in themselves to ask me, hey, can you go and help me achieve this? Because I know that those people who ask that are the ones who, when I ask them, are going to be most effective.
Right.
For me. So they're the sort of people I want to have in my circles. And I know you take people through, people you work with, you take people through this through a shift as well. Can you maybe talk a little bit about what you do in that area and what sort of people other people would want to have in their circles and why?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's two different questions. What kind of shift do we do through our consulting or conversations, and then what kind of people that people would want to have within their team? Is that right? Yeah,
well, it is question number 2, so I thought I'd make it double-barreled.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm cool. Just want to make sure I'm on the right page. So the first one is the shift that we have a tendency to work with folks on. Typically, our consultancy business, Dewpoint IEMC, we deal with high net worth individuals who are absolutely laser focused on the goal, but there may be a particular issue now, or something they know may be coming, or something they can't talk to their board about, or their partner about, or something's not quite right. It might be internal, it may be external, but it needs addressing in order to ensure that it doesn't sink the ship, or it doesn't prevent the growth from really continuing, or they may want to take a quantum leap. So the shift, a lot of the time, I find it. I was always from this school of thought. I'm very advanced for my years. Okay, I've always been advanced for my years. I know you have a young child, and for me, I was walking at 7 months. So I've always been a very advanced individual. I was in college earlier than I should have been. Everything was just too slow for me. So as a result, the way that I started my early career when I was doing consulting, even at 17, I was doing $45 an hour consultant at 17 years old. Now, when I'm actually speaking with people, I want to get to the point. I want to get to the, let's get down to business, let's do the strategy, let's make it work. But one of the things that I found was really important, and I've mentored people for years, and I became very well known as a mentor to business owners. And one of the things I found is if you have the strategy right, but the person, there's something not quite right, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the person. It just means something internally needs to be challenged. If that's not right, it doesn't matter how great the strategy is, you'll keep repeating the same behaviors over and over, and you'll get somebody else to help you, and then that person will annoy you because they're telling you to do something and you don't do it, etc., etc. So for me, I think the shift has to be tailored, because a lot of the time you have to really assess how that person deals with information. I mean, today I was in a speed reading masterclass for me. to improve my speed of. So we spent most of that figuring out how my brain works as pertaining to the speed that I read at. Once we got that, then my speed of reading went from 260, I think it was, a minute to 600 in 2.5 hours. So it was very, very clear that the key element here is how do I think first and then add the knowledge to it after. So the knowledge actually is only the, let's say, the 25%, but the 75% is the person or the company or the culture, etc. So we do a lot of that when it comes to how we deal with our high net worth clients and how they actually want to achieve what they want to achieve and making sure they don't slow themselves down and become their own worst enemy. On to the other thing about how people should add people into their group. Don't just add people who are like you. Don't add strategic alliance partners in, we've got partners in Dubai and Iceland and Germany and the Netherlands and Africa and Canada, America, almost every country, Singapore, everywhere. We've got, because we have a department that all it does is build strategic alliances, and that actually helps our entire company as a corporate or several of our companies to actually really grow. So when you're looking for people to become part of your strategic alliance circle, you don't want to select people who are just like you or who are just like those who you are already around. You want to look for people and companies and people within those companies, because your relationships are with people who work for a certain company. So you always want to look for ways to build those relationships in a way that adds to the end goal for you and where you can add value on their side. And the most important question you should ever be able to ask is, how can I help you? And it's a very humbling question if you're not used to doing that, if you're used to being a taker. It's very difficult to actually ask that question, but it's very humbling when you see the answer and you start realizing that significance can be in your gate, because things that you take for granted, I can do this easily. I can do this in my sleep. There's things I can do in my sleep that somebody will come and go, I really, really need to learn to do this, or I don't know how to do this, or can you help us to do this? And for us, it's a simple thing because it's our second nature. Whereas they might have a skill that is crazy, like you're great with Google+. I'm not. That was easy for you. It is what it is,
Yeah, maybe Google should be hiring me to get the word out and get all these awesome people like yourself.
I think that's exactly what you should do. You're changing the world one entrepreneur at a time. Google should have you on payroll.
Oh, man. I hope someone at Google is watching this right now. Thank you for that one.
Yes, damn it. Hire Paul.
I'll have to send you a clip. But you actually mentioned something in a couple of things there. I'm not sure we have enough time to go into them all on this one, but we can follow up with another call. The one thing you mentioned there was about your ultra high net worth people and significance. And as you know, I also work with a lot of ultra high net worths myself. And I found it from conversations we've had before, found it interesting when you talk about significance and how they have these barriers. Actually, that was the connection with what you're saying. It's not just the entrepreneurs who have those barriers who don't realize their value. Perhaps there's other people who have made a lot of money. Let's face it, they're ultra high net worth because they've made millions, usually hundreds of millions, yet they still have these barriers to get through. But what's the biggest thing that you find working with people in either family offices or ultra high net worths with regard to what they want to do? Is it mostly for them about legacy? Is it about, what's it about with them?
Well, one of the things that came up in the Capgemini, one of the recent Capgemini wealth reports, which I'm sure the high net worth clients who are watching would read, as well as Knight Frank and all the others. But one of the things that came up in the Capgemini one recently was that it's about retention of wealth. Retention of wealth is a big area. Now, sometimes what's happening is those who are your advisors, what I'm finding is the advisors are not actually thinking like A players. They are thinking in many cases like, what can I advise? How can I keep them happy? They're not thinking like an A player. where is it that this client wants to go? Can I go to a vulnerable place with this client where they're actually willing to say, well, this is actually what I want, or this is what my perfect life is, or this is what my perfect calendar is. You know, where is my exit? And a lot of the times they're just not thinking about their exit. It's so blurry, because the busyness of keeping the wealth going, keeping the train going, it just means that a lot of the time, you know, the high net worth individuals that I deal with, and those that my partners and my colleagues deal with, high stress, low time, you know, really want to make sure they're making the right decisions so that they're not losing money, they're not losing opportunities, and they're not being ripped off. And the funny thing is, it's so difficult, you know, both of us fall into this category as well, so it's so difficult to actually ensure that you are making the best decisions with the information that you have, because your time is not as it once was, when you could spend a couple of days figuring somebody out, etc. But I find that when it comes to family office, and when it comes to just individuals who are of substance, who are financially of substance, it's actually this balance of being able to make the right decisions that will help them to retain what they already have. And when it comes to significance, one of the big frustrations, because as you know, wealth is typically lost by the third generation. So it's the issue that, how am I going to make it that my kids will keep it up? Or if they don't have children, what do I need to do to keep the legacy? How am I going to be? How will it be that I was here? Who will know in 300 years I was here? You know, and it's one of the questions that led me to start looking at ways that our clients can kind of, what could we do that makes it that you were here? And I think people in family office sometimes need to think a little bit more rounded about the long-term plan. Where's the 100-year plan for the generations? Where is the 50-year plan? You know, short-term isn't 2 years. Short-term's 20 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's a bit of a trick for some people, even folks who are self-made, because the majority of those who are entering that ultra-high net worth bracket are self-made. So for those people who are kind of in that first generation, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of, and you don't have enough time to do it all, so you've got to hire the experts, and then you still have to make sure that the experts are doing the right job. So I think sometimes one of the biggest problems is really having a full handle on where they're at, and then being able to really look at, how do I retain, and then how do I build on top of that, and then how do I do that and still keep my marriage okay, and how do I do that and still have a relationship with my kids when my kids don't hate me. So, you know, it's a lot to balance, but I think that balance is one of the particular difficulties for folks who fall into this in this particular market.
Yeah, and again, something you said there, I find, you know, interesting how there's a tie between, it doesn't matter how successful someone has been or not, it comes down again to value. You're talking about advisors, and they're sort of looking for ways to advise the high net worth individuals that they consult to. And it reminds me of people in jobs. You know, people in jobs quite often do their, you know, they don't do their job, they try and keep their job. And it's all about keeping people happy and all the rest of it, as opposed to, listen, sometimes it's not just about keeping people, it's about doing the right thing. It's about telling them what they need to hear and telling them the stuff that's going to add value to whatever it is that they want to do. They set the strategic vision. It's your job to help them fill in what those missions are along the way.
Right. I agree with that 150%, because one of the things that my consultancy arm is a boutique consultancy, and like you said very early in the call, I decide, and along with my partners, we decide who we actually want to work with. It's not just, oh, hi, I've got 300,000 or I've got 500,000, here you go, you're my consultant. No, it doesn't work that way, right? Because there has to be a match, right? And one of the things is, we have never ever lost one of our high net worth clients, because we're so focused on what is it specifically that you want, and then now you've said that you want that. Why the hell do you want that? Be honest. Really? Do you really want that? And then by the time you finish digging, you realize there's actually something else there. And sometimes you don't really have that until you're willing to make those those calls. And I think a lot of the time, vendors who service this market are very concerned and very tentative and walking on eggshells, because their concern is, I'm going to lose that client. That client's going to go somewhere else. And I'm very open. I mean, I'll very simply say to a client, look, I think you're being an oof. So let's talk about this, and I'm going to give it to you straight, because that's why I'm here. And the consultants and those who work within our group are the same. But one of the problems that they also have to recognize, those who serve this market, is we know that we have money, so as a result, we don't trust you. And that's just never going to change until you build relationship, you build that trust. And that trust has to come from feeling as though you talk the right language, you communicate the right way, that you know how to deal with yourself, that if I introduce you to somebody, you're not going to embarrass me, I'm not going to be embarrassed by working with you, and I get your philosophy. Do you speak the language? And anybody who is there, we know what we're talking about. Do you speak the language? Do you communicate the right way? And where is your thought process? And people, I found that more often than not, the concern to have an egotistical client, etc., can be allayed once you get to beyond the bravado and you get down to the, I really, really do need this, and I'm just scared that you're going to waste my time. I'm scared. I'm not even scared you're going to waste my money. I'm really scared you're going to waste my time. And I just need to figure out if you're the right person, if you can help me to get where I want to be. And that's the truth of the matter. If people know that you can, and you get rid of the waffle and you get rid of the fluff, and you really are what you say you are, then it's so much easier to really develop that trust and to develop a good long-term relationship. Whenever we select somebody to be one of our we call partners, we call our clients family. So when we select somebody to be part of our family, we're really not thinking about a year or 2 years or an engagement. We're thinking about, can we work with this person 20, 30 years from now? And if that relationship can't be there, I don't care how big the check is, I'm not interested.
Yeah, mate, you are absolutely ticking all the right boxes, man. I don't know why we haven't met a lot sooner.
I know, it's crazy. I'll have to tell somebody in our strategic alliance department, do better, damn it.
I'm sure they're doing just very well. And one thing I love again is, you've just given anyone who works in this high net worth space, you've just given them a blueprint for how they have to go and deal with clients to gain more clients, keep more clients, and add value. And the irony of it is this: most of the people who don't get it anyway, they're not going to be executing it any time soon. So it just goes to show how much power and how much value is what you do with your clients. So unfortunately we're running out of a bit of time, but if it's okay, we'll jump on another one of these sometime very soon in the future, because there's a whole lot of stuff that I know people are going to be asking me for once they watch this. So just for now, apart from, I think your main website is marsha.com. Oops, sorry.
That's okay. Both will get them there, but people who are not in England are like, I'm not even in England. So, but yeah, MarshaWright.com, MarshaWright.com, MarshaWright.com.
Fantastic. And the best is that going to be the best place for people who want to find out more about how they might be able to work with you, people who are in that high net worth space, who are saying, what that lady just said is completely refreshing, is different, and then she's the sort of person I want to work with, and then they can have an exploratory conversation with you. Is that the best place to start a conversation with you?
I think, to be honest, anybody who has watched this and falls into the category that you just said, they're going to have an insatiable desire to figure out if I am what I said I am. So I encourage you, have a look at MarshaWright.com, and get in contact with my office through, if you're in America, the number is 323-300-6027. Alternatively, if you're in the UK, it is 0207-1124874. And in Australia, I have to look down here because I never remember the Australian number off the top of my head. It's 0862-252-060. But one of the best things I think I could say is if you truly have a specific element, specific results that you wish to accomplish, have a look at the website, see if you like roughly what I say, and it doesn't do everything that I say I do. It would be impossible, and the services that we do for high net worth individuals, we don't advertise. There's no reason for us to advertise, so you won't find a lot of that on through my websites. But have a look at the website, have a look also at g.iemc.com, and fill me out. Follow me on Twitter, follow me for a little while, talk to me. I'm very, very good with my Twitter, so if you want to tweet me, that's fine, or get in contact with my office, and somehow, let's just say that you're from, you watched me on Paul's Google Hangout, and I'll definitely remember to keep you as more importance, so to speak, because you've heard this, you kind of have a bit more of an understanding, and I'll make sure that instead of speaking to one of my colleagues, that you'll get a chance to speak to me, which would not be the way normally.
Mate, Marsha, that is just awesome of you. Thank you so much for that, and I'm sure everyone who's watching this who knows what that means will totally appreciate it. So that's great. Listen, I'd love to carry on for hours and hours and hours, but I know you don't have the time. I don't have the time.
I've got another interview in the States in about 4 minutes.
I'm going to let you go. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Also for your incredible information and advice to people, which I'm sure if they were to take it away now and start implementing some of those ideas, they'd be improving their business overnight. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much yet again. Really appreciate it, and look forward to talking again with you very soon.
Thank you so much. And I will say one last thing, if I may.
Please.
Another thing that somebody could do if they really wanted to find out a little bit more about the strategic alliances element is just get the book. It's on Amazon, Kindle, it's on Nook, Barnes & Noble, Sony, everything. So it's definitely a good one to kind of get, and at least then you'll have a bit more of an understanding of what you can do and go implement it. That's the most important thing. Implement what we say.
That's absolutely fantastic advice, and for anyone who didn't pick up on the title of the book before, it is The Secret Collaborative Economy. There will be links on YouTube, on G+, on Sun-Tzu, CleverX, everywhere where you're going to see this video. There'll be a link somewhere on the page to The Secret Collaborative Economy on Amazon and other places you can buy it. So, and if you can't find it, email me. It's that simple.
That's crazy. If you can't find it, somebody needs to get shot. You'll find it, for sure.
Oh, totally.
Lovely speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time, Paul. It's been great.
Likewise, Marsha. Thank you again. And everybody, have a great day. Hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
Bye.